Hello and welcome. We're going to talk a little bit about Rstudio Cloud in this video and give you a brief introduction to how it works. We're going to make a project in your workspace that will allow you to keep notes for the class, as well as a scratch area for doing calculations for practices and the problem sets that you have in class. So let's get started. I'm going to come over here. I'm in the base for the class. I'm going to click on the Rstudio Cloud link. And it's going to come over here and it's going to tell me to click a button, open in new tab. All right, so I will click open in new tab. And boom, this brings me into my area. So I'm going to clean up my tabs here a little bit. And I'm going to do that trick I showed you in the last video. I'm going to put this into full screen mode so I have a little more real estate to work with. Okay, now if I click on this hamburger menu, and I can click this pin and keep it here, but it takes up a lot of space, so I'm just going to keep it unpinned. And I'm going to make sure I'm in my workspace. So where it says your workspace, I'm going to be there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. If you come down here, you can create new projects. What's really interesting is you can do a new RStudio project. There's also, you can make a new Jupyter project. Jupyter stands for Julia, Python, and R. That's why it's spelled not like Jupiter. But we're not going to mess with those at all. You can also do a new project from a Git repository. We're not going to mess with that either, although that's really, really handy. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a plain new Rstudio Cloud project. And Rstudio Cloud can be a little slow because it's web-based. But while we're waiting for this to deploy, we can put up here, let's put in here, we're going to call this class notes for analytics for business and economics. I should get another B in there so it could be babe instead of Abe, but oh well. Okay, here we are. We are on our basic area. And so we have two columns. Kind of the left column is the working side where you'll do your work. And the right column is the informational side. So that's going to give you information about different components that are going on. And right now this is a blank blank project, so our environment is empty and there's no files in here, just this project history file. That's just for RStudio, don't worry about it. It's just, it doesn't matter at all. On this side, we have the console. So on the console, we can type in commands directly. All right, so let's say I want to do 2 plus 2, just like a calculator, boom. And I get 4 back because, well, it can do 2 plus 2. Let's say I want to do the square root of 2. I can do SQRT, square root, open parentheses, and notice it completes with the close parentheses. That can be a little bit annoying at times until you get used to it, but don't worry. All right, sorry, the wind just picked up, so you might hear a little bit of wind noise in my microphone, sorry. And let's do the square root of 4, and we get 2. Isn't that neat? All right, so we can do commands there. And this is cluttered and icky, so I'm going to come over here to this little broom icon that's right here and click on the broom, and that clears it. All right, that's fine, but not very good for keeping notes or saving things. So let's create a new file. I'm going to come down here, see right under the file menu, there's this little plus thing that's new. I'm going to click on that. Oh, and there's all kinds of things. What's a Quattro document? I don't know. I'm going to have to find out what a Quattro document is. But for right now, let's do an R Markdown. You can do a notebook too. They're very similar. The Markdown is just like a notebook, only it's got a little bit more, there's a little more capabilities there. So we're going to do an R Markdown file. And I'm going to do a whole video introducing you to R Markdown. It's really, really cool. All right, but it wants to do a few things. So it said, oh, it's got packages. Oh, we're going to have a whole video on packages, but basically they're add-ins. All right, they're software packages that other people have developed to add functionality to R. That's really what makes R so valuable, is that there's been 40 years of people developing packages for this. So we're going to click yes and twiddle our thumbs for a minute. I'll whistle you a nice tune while it's installing crap. Oh my gosh, look at all that stuff. Don't worry about it. It'll get it done. All right. Notice there's a little stop sign right up there. If you ever need to click stop something, you can click on that. There's a few other things. Sometimes R just goes funny and you just need to reset it. I'll show you ways to do that. All right, so we've installed all the packages. Everything is in there. This is awesome. All right, now we need to decide what we want. So what are we gonna, we need to call it a title. So we're gonna call it class notes. Class notes for analytics for business and economics, right? Author is AWS, awesome student of statistics. We can leave that date fine, that's fine. You can use, click on here, and it's going to give you the current date when you render it. That's a nice idea. And now we can do it in a couple different formats. HTML is pretty cool, but you know it's a little bit of a pain. Let's come down here. Let's do it in Microsoft Word. PDF is fine, but it requires a little more stuff, and we'll talk about that later. But let's just do a Word, Microsoft Word document. Bingo. All right, now what is all this stuff? Well, first of all, if I go to this little small box right here, right? Remember, I can make that small, and I've got my document over here in my working side. It's called Untitled, so let's go ahead and save this. We're going to come up here to, well, just click on the little disk. All right, and let's call it Class Notes. For ABE. Now you can say, well, why do I have to save it here? I gave it a title already. Well, this is the file that you're saving it to, and it's going to come right down here into the Files section of your project. Right up here where it says title, where I'm pointing here, when you actually knit this, all right, it's called knitting, to a Word document, turn it into a Word document, that's going to be the title in the document that would print out. So that's what's going on there. Bingo. All right, so now we got a bunch of stuff in here. So it's got a little bit of demonstration of R Markdown in here, and I'm just going to use that for right now. The first chunk we have here is a setup chunk. Don't worry about that. Just leave it be. And what is a chunk? Well, a code chunk is where I can put actual commands to tell the computer to do stuff. All right, now here it's giving you weird commands. Just don't worry about that one for right now. But if I come down here, summary cars, and I'm going to get rid of this for right now. This just says it's a code chunk. It's written in R. It wants to use the command summary to summarize the data frame cars. So there's data on cars in here, and we want to summarize it. Let me show you what it's going to look like. I can come over here and hit that little play button, right? And boom, there we go. Gives me, I have two, well, I have a couple variables here, speed and distance. So I'm guessing this is how fast it was going and how far it took to stop. I think is what that data is. Don't really care, right? And we can do a few other things. Like, for example, I want to get rid of all of this stuff. Now, this one says echo equals false. Keep that in mind for a minute. All right, that's a parameter on this code chunk, and what that means is it's not going to print out this command. For the most part, we're not going to do that. You're always going to output your commands for this class, but you know, it says it right down here. Echo equals false was a parameter added to the code chunk to prevent printing of the R code. Yay! All right, and if I click the play button, boom! I got a plot of pressure versus temperature. I have no idea where this comes from. Don't care. It's just data, and it's a nice little, you know, scatter plot. Isn't that fun? Okay, and we're going to talk a lot about plotting and how to make really cool graphs. You know, that graph is okay. We can make it a lot cooler, and will by the end of the class. So don't worry about that part. But what's really cool about all this stuff is we're going to come up here to the top, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this knit button. Okay, and boom, it has finished. And you'll notice down here in the File menu, there's a new Word document. I'm going to click Download File. All right, and I'm just going to download this to my desktop. It's a terrible place to put it, but I don't care. And open this up. All right, maybe. Come on. There you are. And make it big, and boom, there's your class notes. All right, and this is just the sample crap that was in there. We can delete all that. But notice, okay, here's the command and its output. And you can type in stuff. So this is just document that you typed to tell you what you were doing. And this is the stuff that you told R to do. Easy peasy. And you can think about this. Let's say you were making a report that you had to do on a monthly basis. You could set this all up in R and then just update the data and push the button and have it update the report automatically. And it brings this nice picture of the graph into Microsoft Word automatically. If you've ever fought with trying to get graphs out of, say, a statistical package or Microsoft Excel and brought it into Microsoft Word, you know it's kind of a bear. And then having to update those, it's even bigger bear, right? Well, this kind of makes it a push of a button. I will talk more about how to do all of this stuff in R Markdown later, all right? Because we have, here's my plan for all my videos that you can see here in the next one. Intro to R Markdown. So hey, that's going to be coming up. So let me go back to Rstudio, and we can also come in here and just delete all this crap. All right, and I want to give you one more little bit of preview. All right, if I click on that little X box, that makes that go away. Now for your notes, you may not need to ever knit this. You might just keep it always right here in this kind of notebook that's here. That's fine too. But one of the things we can do is if I want to do, say, a heading. So that's a level 1 heading by putting one $, and I can say, topic 1. And then I can just start talking about my notes, and I can type in my notes. You can do, giving a little dash is going to give you bullets, and you can number things, and it'll do all that stuff, and it's all really good. If you come up here and click on R, you can just pop. There you go. There's your little R, your little R code chunk, and you can say, well, I need to store in a variable A the sum of 2 and 3. Oh, and then I better print that variable out. Oh, there you go. Bing. And notice up here in my environment tab, it says I have a value A, and its value is 5. There you go. Isn't that cool? All right, that's where we're going to leave this video. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to pick up from here, and I'm going to give you a little more detailed introduction to R Markdown. Because R Markdown is a package that lays over the top of R, and so I can use R Markdown to make things like notes, or reports or case studies, or even papers. All right, cheers.